Hello. Welcome to my comprehensive speedrun restreaming tutorial. This is going to be, it can be used for really any type of restreaming, but it's going to be mainly useful for Wii Series speedrunning tournaments. That's what this is geared towards. So yeah, hoping to just make this more accessible to people who might want to restream in there. So there are really two things you need to be a restreamer. This software called OBS and an internet connection. Now, launching OBS for the first time will configure your settings, which you can access in here. Most of this stuff should be pretty straightforward, to be honest. Like stuff like, oh, well, which device is my desktop audio? Oh, well, it's this one. Like stuff like that. If stuff like that isn't self-explanatory, then you probably shouldn't be restreaming in the first place, because a lot of what this requires is just basic comfort with using a computer, uh, just being comfortable with program layouts and stuff. If you're not sure on that, then I honestly would not recommend this, because it is pretty intense with that kind of stuff. But I'm going to try to make it as accessible as possible, regardless. But yeah, most of this should be pretty understandable. One thing I will explain is bitrate. So bitrate is the level of video compression. So it's just how many kilobytes of video are being transferred per second. So a higher number is less compression and higher video quality. A lower number is more compression, less video quality. Ideally, you'll be streaming at the maximum Twitch value of 6,000 kilobytes per second. The situation where you might need to lower that is if you're dropping frames. Oops, didn't mean to raise that. Yeah, the situation where you might need to lower that is if you're dropping frames. When you go live, there will be a dropped frames counter somewhere here in the bottom right corner. Basically, what that measures is how much your stream is lagging. So if your internet can't keep up with the video quality that you're streaming at, then you're going to start dropping frames. And if that starts getting a little out of hand, you might need to lower this bit rate, or also maybe combine that with lowering the resolution or the FPS. We really don't have any standards at Resort Fest for video quality, but I would say if you can't comfortably stream above 1500 kilobytes per second, then probably not a good idea to get into restreaming. But we appreciate your enthusiasm regardless. But yeah, if your internet is struggling that much, it's probably just not going to be a good experience for you or anyone else. But hopefully that's not the case, because 1500 is pretty low. Next thing here is audio bitrate. Audio bitrate is just the same thing, but for audio, just do 192. 192 is a good middle of the road value where you're really not losing any noticeable quality, but it's not ridiculously high. It's not excessive. And then the other thing is video encoder. You're going to notice you either get to pick software or hardware. What this means, hardware is more optimal for performance in theory because it allocates the encoding to your GPU instead of your CPU. But if you find that you try to start streaming and it just doesn't work, like it won't let you, try switching from hardware to software, and that'll probably fix the issue. And then the other thing is, so let's get into actually streaming. How do you actually stream to the channel? Well, it's really simple. You just are going to get this, when you start restreaming matches, you're going to get the stream key from an admin or a mod. Basically, the stream key for a Twitch account is just a password that lets you stream to that Twitch account. So you just paste it in here and you go live, which is nice because it doesn't matter where you are or who you are. You just paste it in here and you go, which is super convenient. But the other thing that comes with that, absolutely, positively, never give anyone this stream key. As in, if you do, you'll probably be permanently banned from Wii Series. So just don't do that. please. So yeah, with all that considered, it's really not that complicated to get started with OBS. You probably, if you're watching this video, there's a good chance you already are. I just want to go over it so that I'm covering all my bases here. With that said, let's get into actually creating the layout. So as you can see, I have a blank layout here. What we're going to start with is our background images. I'm going to use the images from the most recent tournament, the Wii Party Board Game Island tournament, as an example. So what you'll notice here is that we actually have two images. Well, actually, before I get ahead of myself, the very first thing we're going to learn here is you can drag the corners of these images to resize them, and this will like keep the aspect ratio. You can also hold shift to stretch it around if you want, but you probably won't need to do that very much. So in this case, you're just going to want to drag them to the full area of the stream, and it's going to snap as soon as you get close. It's going to snap to the edge, which is nice because that's what we want. If you're noticing that things are snapping too often or not often enough, I think you can change the snap radius in the OBS settings. So that's nice. You can always do that. So basically, you're just going to want to full screen both of these sources. For all tournaments going forward, we are going to have two images. Hopefully, that's my goal. The reason there are two images is because OBS has these layers. So when you insert streams into the layout, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put them above the background, or in front of the background, but behind these borders. And basically what that's going to do is it's going to make it so that you don't have to crop the streams perfectly. There can be some overlap with the borders, and the borders will just cover it up because they're in front of the streams. So that's really important. That's a really important step in like just making things look clean. So I'm hoping we'll just be doing that going forward, because in the past we've just had one background image, but this is a lot nicer in my opinion. So yeah, with that, like literally all we did is I need to turn my phone off. Jeez. Sorry, that's probably super loud. So basically, literally all we did here is we dragged two images into OBS and we full screened them, and that's the background pretty much. The next thing we're going to do is add text. So the font that we have here on the background is called Shin GoPro. It's just, you may recognize it as just the default Wii series font. It's what we use for everything, obviously. I'm gonna have a download link to that linked in the description, because that is what you want to be using for all these tournaments. So yeah, let's add some text and see what that looks like. Just gonna create a new text source here. So it's going to show up at the top here as AOTF Shin GoPro. You'll notice I have two variants, the bold and the medium. Basically, all I would ask here is just to keep it consistent. As you can see in the background here, I used medium for all the text here. So in this tournament, I used bold for pretty much all the other text except the times. I just used bold for the people's names and medium for the times. So yeah, just have some sort of logic to it is what I would say. So let's just put some text in here, and then you can scale it all you want, drag it wherever you want, pretty much. Yeah, I think this is pretty straightforward. If you want, so like, let's say you really like the size of this text. You can actually copy paste this source to preserve the exact, like, if you want the, like, if you type a player's name in this box here, you're obviously going to want it the same size on the other side. So you can just Control C, but don't just Control V. You're actually going to, after you Control C, you're going to want to right click in sources and paste duplicate. If you Control V, it'll paste it as a reference which means anything you, hold on, maybe not scaling, but anything you do to this source, yeah, will be done to the other source. So that's not what you want. Yeah, but if you paste it, remove. If you paste it as a duplicate, then you can independently control this one and like put it over here. So that's good. Other thing, this is a good time to mention that you can micro adjust the position of sources with the arrow keys. So I can just click on this text, for example, and just press the arrow keys, and you'll see it's just slightly nudging it over 1 pixel at a time. So I can just do up, down, left, right to move it around, which is super, super convenient. And then if you also want a more coarse adjustment, you can hold shift and press the arrow keys, which will move it, I think, 10 pixels at a time. So yeah, and you can do this with any source that you want. So that's cool. So let's go to this other scene that I have set up with the text already there. Yeah, you can see everything is in its place. And that's pretty much it. This is pretty much all you have to do. Obviously filling in the actual people's usernames and stuff. The only other thing is just have 2 additional blank text sources ready to go on either side, so that you can enter the runner's final times when they finish their runs. But other than that, that should be all you need as far as text. So with that taken care of, let's get into actually adding the streams to your layout. So method 1 of how to do this is to use a browser source. So we're going to click the plus button down here and add a browser. So we're just going to create a new one here, and it's going to ask you for a link to a website. So we're just going to put in a random Twitch stream in my following list. Let's make sure that shows up first of all, and it looks like it's working. Wait for it to buffer. This might this is the drawback of using browser capture. It might take a little while. So it looks like we're good. And yeah, so first thing I'm going to do is touch on how you control the volume, because obviously you're going to want to audio balance, and then also you're only going to want one player's game audio as well. So how you control the audio here is you right click on the browser source, click interact, and then this lets you interact with the browser. So you can just you can just mute the stream or like turn it up as loud or as soft as you want. And that's it. So then let's crop this gameplay. And so for demonstration purposes, I'm just gonna crop it to like his Twitch stream. So what I'm doing here to crop it is I'm holding Alt and dragging the edges. So I'm just dragging the edges to the edges of where I want it to be. And then the next thing I'm going to do before I forget is I'm going to drag the browser source between the border image and the background image. So as you can see, that's what that looks like down here. And then basically what that's going to do is you can see the stream is in front of the background, but behind the borders. You can see I'm dragging it behind the borders. Isn't that cool, you know? So I can overlap it here with the borders. No precise cropping needed at all, and it looks perfect. That's why I was saying it's so convenient earlier. Now, in the case of an actual restreaming thing, you're going to want to use just the gameplay. And this is a great time to talk about how you handle 4x3. If someone is streaming, so as you know with Wii Series games, they can be played in either 16:9 or 4x3 because the console came out at like a weird time where both were still being used a lot. So basically, if you have someone who's playing in 4x3, what you're not going to do is that, because don't do this. This just please don't stretch 4x3. It's a part of my soul dies every time someone stretches 4x3 gameplay. Just move it over to the center like this, just center the gameplay, and then all you need to do is just add a color source. So I'm just going to add a new color source, change it to black, resize it down, and just put it in here, and then move it just below the browser source. And as you can see, perfectly fine. Gameplay shows up, doesn't look all stretched out or anything. Perfectly good compromise. Please just do this if you have gameplay that's already in perfect capture card 4x3. So yeah, that's the extent of browser source manipulation. Now, method 2 of getting a stream is to use a program called Streamlink, which basically funnels Twitch streams into VLC Media Player. So I'm going to show off what that looks like real quick. I'm just going to pull up weegee's stream. So you just go to someone's stream, press play, and it's going to launch this. Yeah, it does take a bit, but okay, well, this is nice. This might happen to you. Just gonna wait. Yeah, let's go. So as you can see here, we have weegee in full 1080p in VLC Media Player. Wow, he's on pace right now. He's on hot pace. So yeah, you can, as you can see, I'm just going in my volume mixer to control the volume here, because you actually, the native volume control, oh, it is working now. Okay, never mind. I thought that didn't work. You can just, yeah, you can just use this native volume control in VLC to control the volume of the streams if you're using this method. So if you're doing this, the audio here is just going to go through your desktop audio, which is the same as if you were using a browser source. So you're just going to want to keep that open, and then add a window capture. Oh, I think I made a cropping mistake here. You can see there's stuff on the right. Whatever, it doesn't matter for now. So just add a new window capture, VLC. Oh, that's weird. Why is it not? Huh? What? This is preposterous. Why is it doing that? I have no explanation for this. Wait, hold on. Am I dumb? I'm gonna have it, okay, have it open on another, no, why is it like censoring my stream? It's just it's, what? Okay. Well, that's not working for now. I don't know why that's happening. That's concerning to me. If that happens, we can troubleshoot that later. But in theory, it was working before, so I don't think, hopefully that just doesn't happen to you. But in theory, it should just show the stream, and you can crop it into the layout, and everyone is happy, and everything is fine. Yeah, that's Streamlink. That's the second option. The advantage to Streamlink is that you don't have to go through the Twitch website. I don't think you'd have to deal... I don't know if ads show up on Streamlink. I don't think you have to deal with ads in theory. Which is... it's just a more direct way of getting the stream, which is nice. And then you don't have to... You can control the volume more directly, and there's... Yeah. Installing it is a little weird. It's... You have to install, like, 2 different things and link them to each other. But I'll put the links to that in the description. But yeah, so the only other situation where you might want to use a window capture is when people are streaming through the Discord call. If only one person is streaming, you can just pop out the call in a separate full screened window and use that. But if both runners are streaming through Discord, unfortunately you have to use the previews at their original size because Discord doesn't currently allow you to pop out individual webcams into separate windows. So that's just kind of unfortunate. But as long as no one joins the call after you get your layout set up, it should be fine. Which shouldn't be an issue anymore because we have the calls locked now. Let me try restarting this one more time because I would really like to be able to show 2 streams here. If this doesn't work though, I'm not too pressed about it. We go again. Yeah, no, it really does not want to. Wow, that is heavily disappointing. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So if that doesn't work, change the capture method, I guess. I just went through, tried different capture methods here. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what the difference is between these. Maybe it was defaulting to this older one and changing to this newer one fixed it. But yeah, that's actually really good that I tried that in this tutorial because that's something I actually didn't know about. So that's good. Glad we covered that. So yeah, I'm just gonna crop this as well. In the future, we might... It's just hard to say. Most people play in 16:9, so I don't think we're gonna have any need for 4:3 layouts. But like, if we ever have a We Play tournament or something where it's a game where 4:3 is faster, we might have a layout where like 4:3 gameplay is more supported. But for other tournaments, it's just unlikely because it's rare to see in the first place. Or like a lot of the time when people are using 4:3, it'll be like stretched 4:3 with a camera pointing at a TV or something, and it's like there's no point trying to reconcile this or like stretch it back, I mean, because it's just already the angle is going to be weird and stuff, you know. But yeah, so I'm just going to copy paste this color source. It doesn't matter if this one is a reference because it's going to be the same thing anyway. There's nothing we need to change here. So yeah, and here you can see we have 2 streams. This is roughly what something like this is going to look like when you're all done with adding the streams. I'm just going to mute weegee's Twitch stream so we don't have to listen to that while I'm explaining the rest. So the only other thing we have to worry about here is the timer. In the past, we've captured the timers from people's streams. Going forward, we will be transitioning towards using our own global timers because it just makes everything a lot easier. So this is my live split timer that I use for Resort Fest streaming. I have the background set to red here because I'm going to have to remove this background and can't really use green because the text is green when the timer is active, so that wouldn't work. So yeah, we're going to go through adding this window capture. So we're going to do just that. Create a new source. So yeah, pulling up live split here. Uncheck capture cursor. That'd be a good idea because otherwise whenever you hover over live split, it's going to show your cursor going across it and you just don't need that. So yeah, I'm just going to set it up. The place where the timer generally goes is in the center here. So that's great and all, but now we absolutely do have to remove this background. That's pretty important. The way we do that is through some black magic known as a color key. So we're going to right click on the source here, click on filters, and we're going to add a color key. And this is pretty simple, to be honest. Going to change the color key type to red because we're dealing with red here. As you can see, it's already cut out most of the red. The main thing you're going to want to focus on dragging here is the similarity slider. If you have it too low, the red will show through. If you have it too high, it's going to start to cut the border out. So you're just going to want to find a nice, like, happy medium where there's no red, but it's not cutting anything out that you don't want to. I'm just going to leave it there for now. So yeah, now we have a nice little timer aligned in the center here. Now, here's the really annoying thing here. The timer might look centered right now, but it's aligned to the right in live split. So, which is really weird because there is a setting in live split for aligning the timer to the center of the layout, but it just kind of doesn't work. I don't know why. If you can figure out how to get this to work, then that'd be great. But unfortunately, I don't think it does. And the consequence here is as soon as there's another digit on the timer, it's no longer centered anymore. The easiest way to take care of that for right now is just to notice when that happens, and then when it does, click on the live split capture and just shift right a few times. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And you do have to, like, be paying attention to in order to do that, but it is what it is for right now. Yeah, with all that into consideration, unless I'm missing anything, the layout should be done now. The only other thing that would be left to do at this point would be to start the virtual camera, which is this button down here. Basically, if you're not already aware what the OBS virtual camera is it takes the OBS output, takes the OBS video output, and outputs it as a virtual webcam that you can then use as a webcam in Discord, which is super convenient. And what you're going to use that for is to stream the restream feed to the Discord call so that the commentators can watch the stream without like the Twitch latency. So all you're going to need to do to configure that is click this settings button, make sure your output type is set to scene, and then select the right scene. So in this case, Restream Tutorial 2. And that's it. And then you start your camera on Discord and select OBS Virtual Camera as the source. And that's all you would need to do there. And then just other maintenance things you'd want to do before you start stream. If you're a restreamer, you should be a mod in the Resort Fest channel. So you would just go into Resort Fest Twitch chat and do ! title to change the stream title, and then also ping the tournament watchers role in the Discord. But that should be it, and then you should be ready to start stream from there. And need to adjust the timer again. There we go. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Is it complicated? Yeah. Is it stressful? Definitely. But this is one of the single most helpful things you can do for the community. So if you have a streaming setup that can handle this, we would greatly appreciate your time. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, you can feel free to talk to me or any other restreamer.